So, have you seen Lord of the Rings? It's this really popular movie series which is going topic of day.
I saw a really funny
Yeah.
reel today where it was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really not interested in sex. You can put your clothes back on while I explain the entire plot of Lord of the Rings to you." I was
Yeah,
like,
like
"Me."
as it when I was young, I used to watch Lord of the Rings with my sister. We used to do marathons.
Hi, we are.
NoonaTalk!
I'm Zara, and I'm so excited for today's show. I can't even contain myself.
I'm Sophia and
We are Noona Talk, a podcast where we talk about K-pop, K-dramas, K-culture, and so much more, especially if you are a Desi stan. But even if you're not, we welcome you anyway. We are here on YouTube every week for our podcast episode, along with many reactions that we do of K-pop MVs. We're also on all podcasting platforms if you don't want to watch the video version, like Amazon, Spotify, Apple, Google. You can also follow us on Instagram at NoonaTalk, exactly like it sounds, for other and much more content, which is like shorts and fun and wow, yeah, yeah. But today we're returning to our series called K-drama or K-flop, where we watch the first episode of popular K-dramas to see whether or not it's a K-drama worth watching or a K-flop worth not watching again. And I'm so excited. We
Mhm.
did a massive poll. Okay, so we asked on our Instagram what K-drama should we watch, and we got so many options. By the end, we were on like 12 or 13 K
Mhm.
dramas, which all had over 90% of please watch it. So I think for the next this
Wow.
and the rest of the season, we're set for all our
Awesome.
options. I don't never have to ask again. But
Mhm.
this this show, I think my bias definitely showed through. I did say that this is something I do want to watch because I am in love with Kim Min Kyu.
Oh, so yeah, so today we're
So what are
checking
we
out
watching?
Heavenly Idol. In the supernatural otherworld, the Pontifex Rembrari and his troops battle against dark forces in a campaign to thwart the evil one's return to power after 100 years. Just as he takes the upper hand in a tough duel against the evil one, an
Oh,
inexplicable
there was
force
more.
foils Rembrari's victory and transports him into the present world. Oh, okay. He finds himself in the body of a K-pop idol named Woo Young Woo, a
Hmm.
member of the boy group Wild and Animal. You know, we should do that episode where we like talk about bad group names because Wild Animal is definitely up there.
I feel like this was definitely a script written by a white person.
Yeah. The true Yonwoo has been transported to the other world in Rembrari's body. Okay. Native
Oh
of the workings
no!
of the naive of the workings of the present world, Rembrary struggles to live as a K-pop idol while finding a way to return to the other world in order to restore himself and Yeonwoo into their original bodies and save the two worlds from the evil one.
So
So
basically,
it's
all I'm hearing you
principally
say is that there are two Kim Min Kyus.
yeah, there's a fantasy land Kim Minkyu and then there's idol Kim Minkyu.
Otherwise
Idol
known
Kim
as
Minkyu,
my
I don't know.
husband.
Interesting. So yeah, let's watch this show and we'll be back.
I
So
was
that
so
was the whole
confused.
season.
Right? Right? Like, I feel like we watched two shows for the price of one.
I feel like that entire synopsis was the entire season and we watched that in one episode.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the coming back thing. That
Yeah,
hasn't
the
happened.
other one. We haven't seen the
Yeah, like I feel
original
like
and
that was something that was teased. Okay, no, let's just talk about
Mhm.
what we saw in
Oh yeah.
this entire show.
Okay. So we
This was
start
so
with
intense.
Rembrary is like
Mm.
a he's like a bhagwan, like a monk at the temple, and he's like healing people, and he also heals the poor
Yeah,
kids because he doesn't discriminate against poor people. What did he call them? Loser world, lower world, something like that.
low, low ball.
Yeah, he had this like
Okay.
elven. This was Lord of the Rings. I wouldn't even say inspired. This was just borrowed. They were like,
It was
budget
Lord of the
कम है,
Rings.
budget कम है, but try तो कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, no, they had the. If you've watched Lord of the Rings, Sauron exists on top of this volcano. They had the
Hmm.
volcano.
Yeah.
They have the his army show up in all black with smoke around them.
Sorry.
They had that.
They had
Like, and they
Krish
had
3
like
also.
Aowen with the what?
Krish 3.
Yeah, that crazy. Okay, yeah, the villain has this like half mask thing which also ripples with the CGI, which is exactly what Hrithik Roshan did in Krish 3. Okay, so basically, they were like best fantasy movies around the world, and they stole from all of them, and one of them is Krish 3.
Yeah. And we kept watching this, and I was like, he's healing the kids, then he goes to fight the evil one. There's a war happening. There's like, evil one has his shadow sword he's throwing at him. He has like shield of protection, very X-Men. And I'm just like, I thought we were watching, this was about
An
Idol.
idol show.
Yeah.
No, so see, this is the process. It's called heavenly idol. So you have to go through the heavenly to get to the idol.
Yeah, well,
So basically, there's a lot of plot that happens within like the 10 minutes of the other
yeah.
world where we see
And
him
then
being the pontifex and he's
suddenly,
healing people. There's a war. And then suddenly he's transported to our current present world where he's this extremely pretty boy who hardcore, okay? I'm gonna look it up. He looks like San from 80s. San is an 80s, right?
oh, yeah, it gives that vibe. That I agree with you.
Like the outfit and the makeup just made him look so
Hmm.
much like an 80s boy.
Yeah,
80s or the boys, like it
the
just
boys,
looked like
yeah.
that. Yeah. And he's a
Hmm.
part of this boy group who are attempting a comeback after a long time,
Ded
and they're
Saal.
considered
And then
washed
in
up.
the music show, like they are about to
Huh.
perform, like that's where he lands. There he's like in the
Yeah.
back of getting hair and makeup done, and he's just like, "What is happening?" And then they go on the music show, and then he's there, and he's like, "I don't know what to do," so he just stands there, and he's like, "I can't dance."
And then they also Loki introduced this other character who I think is the main female
Mm.
lead, and it's very confusing. I'm like the entire you have to watch the entire episode to understand who she is.
Hmm. So
But
initially,
it
she feels
basically
like a sassing or a fan side.
hmm,
But she's been an employee at their agency as well,
she's
and
worked as a
apparently
manager. Yeah,
yeah, and she knew him before, and she had all these like signed copies of his CDs and all of paraphernalia and his awards and things like that. So that was intriguing.
yeah, and she also seems to just generally be a big fan of him, and I think
Mhm.
now works as a fan site of him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That. So yeah, so that he does this
Um,
whole disaster thing, and then everyone's like,
the
"What's up?"
companies yeah the companies attempting to find out if he's sick because they find like they say oh he had a fall and he fainted, so he
Hmm.
goes to the hospital. The doctor says clears him of everything because says he's very healthy. He also runs into a random child with a broken arm and fixes his arm.
Because he's a heavenly idol.
Divine powers. Well done, well done. And then the company is trying to disband Wild Animal because they're costing them too much money. They've debuted 5 years ago and really just not making much of a mark. And now their comeback has also failed. Um, and while she's announcing that disbandment, one of the people walks in and they're like, "Oh, because of Kim Min Kyu character,
He's going
Woo Yeon Woo."
viral. Yeah.
Yeah, he basically is going viral, and their numbers are shooting up, and the new album is doing great numbers because people are listening to that now. And
Mhm.
she's like, okay, let's just keep everyone together and let's figure out how we can make money out of this. How to capitalize on this? Yeah.
Mhm.
Um.
So evil guy's forces are here, and then we get an inclination that evil guy is also here because there's a guy who slams the table, who's like evil guy
Wearing a
vibes.
signet ring. Like
Yeah, yeah.
anytime a guy in anything, like or in real life, in a movie or in a show, is wearing a ring on his pinky finger, he's evil.
That's
Okay,
so
that's the
true.
law.
That, and then he's trying to get in touch. He's trying to find who the evil guy is, and he meets
And also
the
return
passing
to
girl.
his body.
Yeah, yeah. and he meets the Sasen girl, and he's like, "Hey, help me!" And she kind of recognizes because she knew the original Wu Yanwu. She's like, "You're not him," and he's like, and that's
Mm.
where we get left off.
He
So
doesn't go, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I've seen enough of Kim Minky to realize this. He has, not multiple, he has like a handful, he has a repertoire of expressions, but his confused expression is, it's absolutely that.
mm-hmm.
Okay, first
Okay,
impression,
okay.
thought.
I was so confused. Okay, मतलब हो क्या रहा है? First of all, चल क्या रहा है? What is happening? No idea. Vibes. We're just watching like Lord of the Rings, cheap budget Walmart Lord of the Rings Korean version, and then suddenly we're in this idol thing, and I think we've seen like what was that show where this aliens in America or something? What was it called? Oh,
You're
okay.
thinking of Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah, yeah, I am. So it kind of gave that vibe where he's just like, oh, I don't know what's going on. Why am I here? Blah, blah, blah. And he's trying to kind of fit into this world, which is very fast paced and just working around him. So I think as a premise, that was interesting. But a lot happened in the first episode. Like, so much plot happened. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it was really confusing. My big thing though was the tonality changed very fast. Like lots of things can happen. That's okay. And I know K dramas do this where like first episode was सारा plot भरना
Yeah.
है. But like we had this whole thing which was super dramatic, super intense war. Then it suddenly became comedy of this guy trying to understand the world and what is texting and all of this. And then we had
Hmm.
this whole sad story of the girl who potentially may have incited another person to kill themselves. Like it was all just very in very rapidly shifting. And I
Hmm.
have said this before, and going to continue. I don't think I understand Korean humor. I don't think
Hmm.
I get it. Like it was there
Hmm.
were a lot of times that I knew it was meant to be funny because the music was funny, but I didn't get it.
I'll tell you what I liked. Okay, let's do pros and cons. I'll tell you what I liked. I like shows about idols. I think as a fan of K-pop, I really like shows that kind of depict a behind the scenes or a fictional version of what it's like to be an idol. Yeah, so I like shows which like talk about idol life or behind the scenes of idol stuff. So I always find that very interesting. So that part is right up my alley, which is why I wanted to watch it. But I think the other entire shtick about the other world and the Sauron and defeating evil, like I'm questioning it, but I don't know if it's enough. If it's reeling me, like you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I feel like magical realism is not something that I generally tend to enjoy, like unless it's done really well. And like so far, this has not been done really well. So
Okay.
it's a hard sell to me.
What are
Um,
your
but
praise?
but yeah, that's what I was getting to. But I thought none of the acting was even like subpar. I thought it was all well acted. Like the
Yeah,
girl
yeah.
acted really well. All the other members of the boy group acted really
Hmm.
well.
Even the
I
label head,
yeah, that like everyone's acting has been really well done.
surprisingly good.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like with intention. Like it doesn't feel like it's just they're just doing going through the motions or anything. It did feel very well done. Another pro that I liked was even though tonality shifted very quickly, I still thought like it was written well. Like I think it was just paced weird because I think they just had to fit
Mhm.
everything together to
Yeah.
set the basis. I do think it
Hmm.
was written very well. Like when the whole thing of like having to adjust to this society and what this means and like
Hmm.
him not understanding how phones work and why praying in public is odd or whatever. Like I think all of
Hmm.
these are just normal things that we take for granted, but like if somebody was
Hmm.
introduced to this would be like, whoa.
I feel like I wouldn't say it was written really well. I think it was written very seamlessly. Like it
Mm.
wasn't interesting or witty. Like those things that you're saying, I agree that they were, but I feel like the way it was written, it felt very like we notice things, so we'll like keep them in account. But it wasn't written in a very interesting way.
I mean, one of the cons that I did have is that it felt a little childish. Like the whole
Hmm.
story of like, I mean, I get all stories invariably come down to good versus evil, but like just the fact
Hmm.
that he's called the evil one.
Even when, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's just like lost in translation vibes. But
Oh, I didn't even consider that, perhaps.
for me, that's a con where you're right. It's a little childish and it's a little obvious. Like, I know where this is going to go, right? Like, this is, they're going to switch back, and then there'll be a little bit of angst about the ladki, whether she, because she'll obviously fall in love with this version of the guy, and then he'll also fall in love with her. And will they actually switch back, or will they just like be like, it's okay, bro, that world sucks, you live in there, I'm staying here with your girl. Um, who knows?
Hmm, that's actually really interesting. I didn't think of that at all.
Yeah, but it's not enough to keep me engaged because it feels like these are the two worlds which are going on and they're gonna try and get back.
Until you said the whole like angst thing, I hadn't even thought of the girl. Like that makes sense. I am genuinely like independently curious about her story. Like, was she
Hmm.
friends with the guy before this? Was she just in love with him? Did they work together? Because it does seem like he's given her a personalized signed
Yeah. Like
album
she
at some
knew him.
point.
As a
But did they
person.
were they but were they friends or was it just like co-workers? What was it?
Yeah, that's
Or
true.
was it like how I know Yoongi?
No, it doesn't feel like that. It felt like they knew each other, kind of a thing.
Is it a K drama or is it a K flop?
You know what? It's neither. It's a K mid.
That's not the name of the series.
Well, I'm edgy and I think out of the box, like hobby. But yeah, it's mid. I feel like I don't know. I'm still confused. I'm still on the edge. Will I watch it? No. Mainly because it's not on any major streaming site. But if it was on Netflix, I would watch it. Like that's the thing. If the ease of what viewing was more, I would probably like watch at
Hmm.
least a couple of more episodes to figure out what's going on. But since it's not there, I wouldn't even bother. I wouldn't even think about it. It's not a K flop, but I'm not sure if it's a K drama, you know? What do you think?
Hmm. No, it's a K drama for me. It's maybe not like the highest, like, oh, duh, 100% have to watch all of it.
Like, if Kim Min Kyu
Like,
wasn't the
honestly.
lead actor, would we be invested? No.
Probably not. Probably
No.
not. Yeah, no, I wouldn't have been invested from the get go though, because like of the
Hmm.
magical realism thing. Like, it just
Yeah.
personally, that's not something that interests me. So I don't think that's something I would have even wanted to watch. And but now that I've seen it, if it wasn't Kim Min Kyu and somebody else, I don't know if I would be disinvested. But I still wouldn't call it a K flop. I think I would maybe just
Hmm.
not be this enthusiastic about it.
It didn't dumb down the audience's intelligence.
Hmm.
So I think that was a good thing about this show. But I think plot wise, yeah, if you're into that kind of plot, maybe it's for you. But like for me, the whole yeah, this good versus evil fighting on horses vibes, like not my vibe. She says after watching like Alchemy of Souls in like 3 days. But okay.
Oh, was there fighting on horses in that?
There was, I think. Was there?
It didn't seem like a fighting with horses thing.
Were there horses in Alchemy of Souls?
Yeah, it's called Alchemy of Souls, so we're not Alchemy of Knee. So we have a K drama mid and a K
Hmm.
drama. So oh, not
Hmm.
bad.
Not
That's a good score to have. Yeah.
mhm.
So definitely, like you all can go and watch it in case you haven't already. But let us know in the comments below if you have already seen it. Do you agree with what we're saying? What we saying? What we saying?
What we
Um,
saying?
yeah. In case you haven't seen it, did our review make you want to go watch it? We will be back next week with a brand new episode where we'll be talking about something very interesting. So
Wait
stay
for
tuned
it.
for that. Subscribe to this channel so that you're updated, and also follow us on Instagram at NoonaTalk, exactly like it sounds. In case you haven't already liked this video, because you liked the video, woo! We will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.